everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to start a series on personal branding, so consider it Personal Branding 101. And the first thing that we have to know is what exactly is personal branding. And personal branding is the opportunity to share with others how you use your talents to serve them. It is also a powerful way to create the career and life you wanted. So in short, personal branding is how you promote yourself. But before I dive into the different points today, I want to introduce myself. Hi, my name is Tiffany, and I am a wardrobe coach, and I help professional women who are aspiring to go to that C-suite executive office build a personal brand through their wardrobe that will tap into their power and will position them for success. So, personal branding. We hear about personal branding all the time through brands such as Pepsi, Coke. I'm filming on my iPhone. They have all built powerful and strong personal brands. But did you know that you are also a personal brand? That's right. So being a personal brand and building it is the foundation to build your wardrobe and your image. And I figured I would start here with personal branding. So once we can figure that out, then we can figure out how to incorporate your style and build a wardrobe that will position you for success. So to start off, number one, you have to know yourself. I know this sounds a little crazy, but you have to know yourself because a personal brand is authentic to you. And one thing I want you to always remember with your personal brand, it is the one thing that you can always control. You get to control how people see you and how people perceive you. So I always want you to keep that in mind when we're going through the next couple of videos and for today. So how do you get to know yourself in its authentic form? Here are a few things. One, you have to know what your strengths are, what strengths you're currently building that will be an asset for you down the road. What are your habits, both good and bad? So if you're good at writing, well, that's not a habit. But if you're good at, say, being on time, we'll say that's like a habit, I guess, right? But you have a bad habit of waiting until the last minute to get reports done. You want to know all of these things about yourself. You also want to know your interests, your desires, and your core values. And this is just your presentation, but others, this is just your perception. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is just your perception, but you also want to find out what others think about you as well so that you can get to know yourself a little better. Because people, especially close to you, and when you're asking them, ask people that you trust that will give you the correct answer. Make sure that they give that to you straight. And you want to ask them, what do they think? Because they may be able to provide you with strengths or weaknesses that you may not have thought of, or what you may have thought was a good habit, but isn't necessarily a good habit. And you want to take all of that back. And you also, I'll add this in as well, you also want to know what your goals are for the future. So what are your goals 6 months from now, a year from now, 3 years from now, and even 5+ years and beyond? If you have your ultimate goal, what would that be? Because all of this will help you pave the way to build your personal brand. So number one is you have to know yourself. Number two, want to know your audience or audiences. Who are you trying to connect with? Just like in marketing and business, we have to know our target audience as well. Because if you don't know who your target audience or audiences are, then you need to figure that out first. Because in both the short and long term, you need to understand and know what attributes, skills, and values they find important. So what are the skills and attributes that you need both now in the short term that will help you and in the long term? Because you're going to be communicating with them both verbally and non-verbally. I come in to help you with the non-verbal part. And here is a secret tip that nobody tells you. How you dress speaks to your target audience at their level. So you have to keep that in mind. And you would be surprised how many people will say, oh, I want to speak to that person, because they see, okay, you're showing them, and we'll get into the next one, on how you want to be perceived and how everything comes to play. But you always remember, what are their attributes, skills, and values that they find important? You have to be able to figure that out, because it's going to be different from each industry to industry. So you definitely want to make sure that you figure out and know who your target audience or audiences are. And last but not least, number 3, focus on reality and not perception. We have all heard this familiar saying, fake it till you make it. And we have all tried it, but it doesn't work. Why? Because we're not showing up as who we are. And we have to begin to think about it differently, because if you fake it till you make it, you're doing something that's uncomfortable for you. You're not confident in who you are or how you're showing up in the world. And it can just be draining and exhausting, because you're trying to keep up with something that inevitably you won't be able to keep up with, and people will eventually find out about it. So we want to get rid of that whole mindset or notion of faking it until you make it. So instead, what do you want to do? You want to focus on how you want to show up and how you want to be perceived in the world. That's it. This is the one thing, as I mentioned earlier, that you can control. If your reality, of course, does not match your preferred perception, then you're going to have to change your reality so that you can have both, so that your reality and your perception meet hand in hand. Now, this is not going to happen overnight. However, as you take time, because our personal brands will evolve, they will change, and they will fluctuate over time. And we're building it. So don't think you have to build this brand overnight. Strong, powerful brands, personal brands, are built over time. And by the time that you get to where you're supposed to be, you'll look back and all of the mistakes that you've made or mishaps you may have had when building your personal brand, they will all have brought you to this one place to where you now have a cohesive, strong personal brand. Because remember, how you show up and how people see you is the one thing that you can control. Always remember that when building your personal brand. So to recap, 1, you have to know yourself. Who are you? You want to ask yourself that question. 2, you always have to know, just like in regular marketing 101, you have to know your audience or your audiences. And number 3, you have to focus on reality and who and where you are right now, and not perception. Because guess what? That can be exhausting, tiring, and you will not show up in the way that you would want to show up. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Everyday Icon podcast video. That's what I'm going to call it today. And also, let me know what questions you may have about personal branding. And you never know, it may show up as a topic here on my next video. So with all of that being said, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I will talk to you guys in the next video. Bye, guys.